Most people just remember Pixel Gun 3D as just another childhood game, but very few people actually know the company behind it, or even their past work. Because one quick look at their past projects reveals a disturbing pattern. There's some shocking information I'll reveal about the company in one of its top games that'll completely change how you view them. To actually understand the company, let's discuss their background and address a common misunderstanding. Cubic Games was founded back in 2013, originally headquartered in Moscow, Russia, then making the move to Cyprus, with the second office in Armenia. This is the most common misconception about Cubic Games. Alex Krasnov, Cubic Games, and rilisoft are not different companies. They're all the same entity. They're all just names used by Cubic Games, and are part of a suspicious scheme that I'll get into. They specialize in mobile game development, sitting out the console and PC market, aside from a couple PC ports. As we've already established in my other video about the history of Pixel Gun 3D, Cubic Games was founded in a time where Minecraft knockoffs were on a generational run, which would basically become the entire identity of the company. This influence is very consistent, as you'll see throughout their other releases. The current Cubic Games website only lists 2 games under their games, although their past projects also include 5 other games. But they're seemingly brushed under the rug, and we'll get into it soon. The first game listed and the game they're most known for is obviously Pixel Gun 3D. I've already made an entire video about the history of this game, so let's just cover the basics. Released in 2013, Pixel Gun was a multiplayer FPS, originally being a spin-off of Minecraft, with over 165 million downloads, which is why it's still updated and supported today, 13 years later. For the next game, as I researched more about Block City Wars, it revealed some crazy lore about the company. Block City Wars is similar to Pixel Gun, being a PvP shooter. However, it's much more centered around the open world sandbox aspect, with various missions to complete in order to unlock different vehicles like cars, tanks, and helicopters. Very clearly inspired by the success of Grand Theft Auto, and nearly surpassing Pixel Gun 3D in popularity at roughly 100 million lifetime downloads. This game was infamous for its pay-to-win features, and just the overall aggressive promotion of in-app purchases, the exact same practices and community complaints we saw with Pixel Gun 3D. But this is where it gets really suspicious. Block City Wars had a pretty unique lifespan, as most of you know. To make better sense of this, you have to understand one thing, that being who the parent company of Cubic Games is. And I know it's complicated, but it's really important, trust me. The parent company of Cubic Games was Gracevale Limited. To confirm that, the original US trademark filings for the name rilisoft and Pixel Gun 3D clearly show Gracevale Limited as the owner for those trademarks. And as everyone knows, Block City Wars wasn't created by Cubic Games. Instead, it was independently developed in 2014 by D Games, with it later being acquired by them. But towards the end of 2018, the game began to see a massive decline in players, for a variety of reasons, like hackers announcing that Cubic Games would be partnering and helping revive the game, and eventually being re-released as Block City Wars 2.0. And as Everletcher discovered in his video, an old archive for the Android release of Block City Wars in 2017 shows it was released under the name D Games, which actually confirms the idea of it being independent of Cubic Games. So they should be in the clear, right? But I had to see for myself. I went to an older archive of the original Block City Wars Google Play Store page, which linked the official website, dgames.org. As I went to check out the website, I realized it's been abandoned and unavailable for years. So I checked for an older archive of their webpage to see if there was any information on the original company. Because why would an apps company with hundreds of millions of downloads just suddenly disappear? This archived version of the website from 2017 shows a contact button. Upon clicking it, there's a message that reads, "Feel free to write us on any problem or suggestion. You can use the form below to send us a message. Also, you can write an email to our official support, press@dgames.org. This seems pretty standard and not shady at all. However, right below it is a company address that has address misspelled. The location listed of the company is Julia House, 1066 Cypress. This is the same address listed as the location for the official US trademark filing of Rilisoft, Block City Wars, and Pixel Gun 3D, which all tied back to the exact same parent company, Gracevale Limited. Huge shout out to Everletcher for making that video and discovering the information, because this wouldn't be possible without him. There was never a change in development or ownership, only a change in name. And this rebranding instead of restructuring when the company was met with backlash has become a common practice for them throughout the years. And for the record, this is all public information. None of this is private or sensitive. However, this still leaves us with 4 different games missing from the website. Lastcraft Survival, which is probably the most popular of these, was released in July of 2018. It was an MMO survival game, heavily inspired by the Fallout series, while still incorporating the voxel-style graphics. The objective was to expand your base and civilization, while surviving the effects of the apocalypse. The crafting system within the game was actually pretty extensive, since there was over 150 different recipes, as well as the online feature that allowed you to complete missions with a friend. Judging from the comments on gameplay for this game, it was actually pretty well perceived. Unfortunately, this game was very short-lived, with the app being removed from major app stores around 2019 and confirmed as abandoned in March of 2020. And now we get into one of their PC ports. Pixel Gun World was the first official PC game from Cubic Games, released all the way back in 2015, where it never actually made it past the beta testing, since it was confirmed as cancelled in 2016. This is definitely one of the weirder ones on here, since there was no actual explanation as to why they were pulling the plug, just 1 year after its open beta launch. The initial shutdown of the game was extremely odd too, since the staff only announced a 5-hour temporary maintenance downtime, which would actually just be the last time the servers were ever up. The community claims the game was shut down as a result of it not being profitable, which is the most realistic theory in my opinion. However, I'm yet to find an official statement from the company backing that claim. The official release date of Slendy isn't exactly clear, since the official App Store page claims it was released in 2014, however that doesn't account for the original version of the app that was named Pocket Enderman, which I can't even find an archived App Store page of, only some third-party sites documenting the existence of the game. I could only guess it was released alongside the old 2012 version of Pixel Gun Augmented Reality, which is also lost media, aside from these screenshots. The general concept of Slendy or Pocket Enderman was a spin on games like Talking Tom, Talking Angela, and the creepypasta Slenderman. I don't exactly know how to explain this game, so I'm just gonna read the description from the app's page.
It is a virtual Slender that you should take care of, so that he might grow, develop, and one day you will become the best friends. The rising life of Slender is in your hands. You should play with you Slender Bro with Ball. Also, there are many Pocket mini-games, like Matchup, Rocket Game, Memory Quiz, and other game mods.
The only possible explanation I have for this insane app description is that they were just trying to hit every search keyword that was relevant at the time. The app wasn't really archived or documented much, and I don't really blame them. Bubble Duck Panic is the only one on this list that doesn't use the Minecraft aesthetic. Released in September of 2012, I couldn't find much information, or at least an archive of the original app page. However, I was able to find the description on a third-party website.
Yellow funny ducks quietly flew in the bathroom until there was a bubble threat. In this fun game, you have to bubble. It is not such a simple task. From level to level, ducks are getting smarter and faster. Enjoy this fun.
Why is iOS 4.0 or later? Compatible with iPhone, iPad, or iPod Touch?
This third-party website claims it only had about 12 downloads, so I doubt we will ever see any actual in-game screenshots or gameplay. The final app, MineRun 3D, or the official App Store name. MineRun 3D Pocket Block Escape Game with Skins Maker for Character in Minecraft PC Edition 2-in-1. Released in July of 2013, returning to the roots of Cubic Games, combining almost one-to-one Minecraft-styled graphics with the trend of endless runner games like Subway Surfers and Temple Run. A lot of the assets used in this game were the same ones in earlier versions of Pixel Gun 3D. The app description gives us a bit of context to the game, but it's just a poor attempt at SEO manipulation than anything. as you'll see. Welcome to the dark mine, full of lions in the path. You play as brave cube hero, running through his mine. Alex Dravnov is not associated or connected with Mojang AB. Minecraft is a trademark of Mojang AB and is not endorsed or affiliated. Unlike the others, this game actually has a decent amount of documented footage and screenshots. Unfortunately, it is just as boring as it sounds. I think this 2013 Pocket Gamer article sums the game up perfectly. I'm not exactly the biggest advocate of video game clones. While I understand that plenty of genres have evolved by building on previous ideas, I can't stand it when a game blatantly rips off another. As you'd expect, then I wasn't a massive fan of Minecraft 3D Escape to Temple, a game that rips off the gameplay of Temple Run, and then decides to directly copy the visual style of Minecraft. This time around, it wasn't really the clone angle that made me sigh. It was simply that Minecraft 3D offers absolutely nothing that we haven't already seen before in countless other endless runners. I did want to mention, as I was trying to find archived screenshots and App Store pages to these games, I did come across this site. It listed these games under the Alex Krasnov profile: Iron Empire, Iron-Empire, and Wings of Liberty. Searching the titles literally brought me no results. I'm not sure if this is just a glitch or they were just never released, but I wanted to include it in case anyone knows anything about these seemingly non-existent games. The extensive history of trend hopping, SEO manipulation, and rebranding when faced with backlash instead of restructuring. These are all pretty scummy tactics. The real issue arises when those tactics are at the cost of other successful apps, like we saw with the constant usage of Minecraft in their app titles, or even earlier versions of Pixelgun 3D. Cubic Games never failed to deploy obnoxious monetization tactics. The two biggest titles released by Cubic Games all faced the same community backlash, whether it was through pay-to-win items, the frequent release of limited-time items, and the general obsession with microtransactions. Even the much smaller titles like Lastcraft Survival and Pixelgun World faced similar criticism, despite their much smaller community and short lifespan. Despite every critique you and I have about Cubic Games as a whole, their games shaped a lot of our childhoods. Whether you played Lastcraft Survival, Block City Wars, or Pixelgun 3D, everyone has at least one good lifelong memory associated with a game of theirs. Whether you were the best or worst, spent money or didn't in these games, one thing remained consistent. That was the fun in countless hours of gameplay. I remember rushing home from school just to play Pixelgun 3D on my tablet like it was yesterday. Cubic Games as a company was the complete opposite of game creators. They were followers. Aside from that, they still defined an entire generation of mobile gamers who didn't care where the ideas came from, and still managed to be a part of the greatest era of mobile gaming. Despite how many or few players these obscure games had, those downloads do represent real people that will remember those games forever. The truth is, Cubic Games was not unique. The early 2010s mobile gaming scene was basically the Wild West, and the only thing that Cubic Games was actually good at was just surviving it and avoiding any consequences. If you enjoyed this video at any point, you should totally hit that like button and consider subscribing for more high quality videos just like this. If you have a friend that you played these games with, or a sibling or whoever, you should totally send them this video so that y'all can relive the nostalgia together. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.